In this video, we are going to look at some simple US conversions. So when we say conversions, we are converting from one unit in the US system to another unit in the US system. So the final answer we get is still equivalent to our original measurement, but it's measured in different units. So for example, we might be converting a measurement in feet to an equivalent measurement in yards, or we might be converting a measurement in pounds to an equivalent measurement in ounces. So keep in mind, we're still maintaining the same quantity or the same measurement, but we will be using different units to describe it. So you see I have 3 sample problems in this screen, and then at the bottom of the screen I also have a snapshot or a screenshot of part of the conversion sheet that you're going to be using for Unit 9 this week. So there is a conversion sheet that has more conversion factors that you will need. Like I said, I only have just a small screenshot of it, but the whole entire page has lots of conversion factors that you're going to use throughout this whole entire unit. And then on the back side of it, it also has the geometry formulas we're going to use next week. So you definitely want to make sure you download your own copy of the conversion sheet and the geometry formula sheet. You can find it in 2 places. The first place you can find it is in the Unit 9 folder in the More course, or you can also find it in the Week 10 overview in Canvas. You can download your own copy of it. But let's go ahead and start seeing how we're going to use this conversion sheet to help us solve these problems. So in the first problem, we know that Ryan sprinted 163 feet. We want to know what that equivalent distance is in yards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and look at my conversion sheet, and I'm going to look for the conversion factor that compares feet to yards. So by looking at my chart, I've highlighted it in green here. I can see that there is 3 feet in 1 yard. So the way you set these problems up is you start with a unit fraction of the original measurement. So I'm starting with 163 feet. So I'm going to write 163 feet over 1. So that's a unit fraction. It's the measurement I'm given, 163 feet, written over the denominator 1. Now, I want to convert that to yards. So I'm going to multiply by a conversion factor or a ratio that will allow me to convert my feet measurement into yards. So like I said, I'm going to use the fact that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by a fraction that is equivalent to 1, except it will show me how to go from feet to yards. So when I set up my fraction that I'm going to multiply by, I want the unit of yards to be in the numerator and the unit of feet to be in the denominator. Now, the reason why I want yards in the numerator is because you always want your desired unit to end up in the numerator. So my goal is to convert this measurement into yards. So I want yards to be in my numerator when I'm finished. And what will happen is the units of feet will cancel out. Now, when I look at my conversion factor, I see there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So I need to put 3 in the denominator with the unit feet and 1 in the numerator with the unit yard. Now, I'm allowed to multiply the numerator by 1 and the denominator by 3 because 1 yard and 3 feet are still equivalent to each other. So I'm still multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same value, so I'm still being fair, but 1 is being measured in yards and 1 is being measured in feet, but that value is still the same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply straight across because that's how you multiply fractions. So 163 times 1 in the numerator gives me 163, and 1 times 3 in the denominator gives me 3. Now, the whole goal here is to cancel out the units of feet and be left with the unit of yards. So I'm going to divide, and I'm going to round my answer to 2 decimal places. So 163 divided by 3 is approximately 54.33, and my final unit is yards. So this means that he sprinted about 54.33 yards. Okay, let's look at Laura's truck. Her truck weighs 8,387 pounds, and we want to convert that weight to tons. So I need to look in my conversion on my conversion sheet and find the conversion factor that compares pounds to tons. So I can see there's 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. So I'm going to start with my unit fraction. So 8,387 pounds over 1, and I'm using the LB abbreviation for pounds. And I'm going to multiply that by an equivalent, or I'm going to create an equivalent measurement in tons by multiplying by a version of 1. So I'm going to multiply by a fraction where the numerator's unit will be tons and the denominator's unit will be pounds. So 2,000 pounds will go in the denominator and 1 ton will go in the numerator. So now when I multiply straight across, 8,387 times 1 is my numerator and 1 times 2,000 is my denominator. The units of pounds will divide out and I will be left with tons. So after I do my division and I round to 2 decimal places, I get 4.19 tons. Okay, let's look at the last one. I want to convert a measurement in cups to a measurement in ounces. So now I'm going to look in the units of capacity and I will find that there are about 8 ounces, or there are 8 ounces in 1 cup. So I'm going to start with my unit fraction, 3.75 cups over 1. So I'm using C for cups. And I'm going to multiply that by a fraction which is equivalent to 1, but it's going to relate cups to ounces. So I want ounces to be my final unit at the end. So I'm going to put cups in the denominator and ounces in the numerator. And then from my conversion factor, I see there's 8 ounces for 1 cup. So now when I multiply straight across, I get 3.75 times 8, which is 30 in the numerator, and 1 times 1 in the denominator. So the cups will divide out, and I will be left with 30 ounces. Okay, so I just showed you 3 different examples. Notice how in the first 2 examples, we actually wound up dividing for our last step. But in the third example, all we had to do was multiply because 30 over 1 was still 30. So on the next slide, I have 4 more sample problems for you. So in the first example, you're converting from cups to ounces, then we're converting from days to weeks, then we are converting from feet to yards, and then we're converting from miles to feet. So definitely make sure you have a copy of your conversion sheet, all your conversions, so you can have those while you're completing these 4 problems. And then you can either take a screenshot of this and show your work on your iPad, or you can just copy this onto a sheet of paper and scan and upload it for your 2 bonus points.